What's up, y'all? Today I got every book I read in March. This was a big reading month for me. Had spring break in the middle of it, so got to really get into some of these. This was, I think, a very good month of reading for me. There's a lot of stuff I really liked. There's a banger masterpiece in this one. And then a couple really just one really big thick hardcover that really slowed me down. If I'm being honest, I probably would have gotten like more, but this will probably be like 20 books. Not 20. It'll be like 15 bucks. Probably less than that. Anyway, this first one I've got here is slightly exaggerated. It's by Curtis Clow, who wrote it, and Pius Back. Pius Back. Pius? That can't be Pius. Anyway, Pencils and Inks by him, colors by Roman T-Top, Eva de la Cruz, letters by Tobin Rakicot. And this book I had been like anticipating a little bit, just because I had seen some of the artwork, and there was like a Kickstarter. I didn't back it. I got this just regularly because I figured it'd be coming out normally. And what can I say, man? I love a colorful world, and I love it when we get sea animals in the air. You know what I mean? I'm a simple man. You put a whale in the sky, I'm there, dude. That sounds sick. Stingray in the sky, I'm there. What can I say? Uh, this book definitely delivers on that. Very colorful world. It feels very like, I don't know, like just so imaginative at its core. I don't think this has like that many like ideas in this book. It's kind of straightforward. Like this whole book is made of 3 issues, and it definitely feels that way. We follow this main girl who surely has a name. You guys know I don't know names of characters. And she is like an adventuring treasure hunter type, which I also love a good treasure hunt. You know, we don't have enough in this world. And she has this like stone hand thing that's coming over her that is like, you know, some kind of nasty future fantasy disease. So she's like, man, let's get one last ride. And that's kind of what the story follows. Without getting too into it, I really want to spoil it for you. There's really not that much to it, so I feel like if I start like explaining too much, it could really, you know, mess some of this stuff up for you. I gotta be careful here. I'm pretty sure there's some naked bodies in these parts. I don't want to get this taken off YouTube. And yeah, so there's a lot of flying in the air. There's a cool contraption where she puts like this lantern up in the sky that her like her sky stingray picks up. There's a lot of magic. There's a little bit of like societies and kingdoms at work that we don't really see outside of the story, which I kind of appreciate that this is like just from her point of view. Of course, it gets a little bit like fantasy-like and crazy at the end, where you know, fate of the universe is on the line. Some fucking how. I like this book. I didn't love this book. Kind of, it's like a fun time, you know. I like read it. I was like, ah, that was cool. It was great. I don't know how much, like, if I would like recommend this to anybody, but I feel like there's a lot of heart in this book, and the art's really good. Like, Pie is back. Some of this stuff is really cool and fun. Some cool monsters in here, man. It's a good time. It's a good time, not going to change your life. Slightly exaggerated. I'd probably give a 3 out of 5. Up next, we got Everfrost. This is by Ryan K. Lindsay. And what's the other guy's name? Sammy Cavella. It's a Black Mask book. I try to get some Black Mask stuff. I tend to like the stuff they put out. This one seemed really crazy. This is a sci-fi book. And when I say it's a sci-fi book, it's like a real weirdo setup, dude. This is like, I feel like they went in trying to make this book not like other books that you've seen, and they have succeeded. This world feels very alien. It's like kind of crazy to lock in on, but I think it's accessible enough. You know, I think it's intentionally supposed to be a little bit like confusing and strange. But like as you read it, I don't know. I didn't feel like it was too complicated for like me to get into. And you know, if I'm smart enough to get this, you are too. Believe me. I really like the art style here. This is like a classic, like comic book style for me. Like this kind of like heavy black, not heavy blacks, but like using like real spot blacks in like every panel. I like Cavella's art quite a bit. I like the colors. He does some weird paneling stuff here. It follows this main woman. Who knows what her name is? This lady here, and she, I don't know how to say it without getting into it. She's on this strange sci-fi world. She wants to leave, and she wants to use this like freaky alien thing to do it. And while she's on her way out, like away from society because she hates all people, there's something in one of the cities that she feels like she has to destroy before she leaves. That is the most spoiler-free way I can talk about this. And even if I feel like even if I said it, you guys might like still wouldn't be able to guess the directions it goes in. But there's a lot happening in this book, and I don't want to say it works against it, but this is dense, dude. Like, this is not an easy read. You got to really be paying attention. You got to really be locked in to understand what the hell is going on sometimes. But I kind of appreciate that. That is, like, this book is, like, all curveballs, dude. Like, there's no straight and an easy thing that happens in here. You got to... It asks something of the reader, which I think is a good thing in general. That being said, this book for me is probably also a 3 out of 5. I liked it at the end, but there's parts like 2/3 of the way through this book, I was kind of like, what are we doing here? Like, what is happening? And then it picks up again. But I don't know that this is like the most consistently fun book. I think by the end, you'll be like, oh, I'm happy I read that. At least I was. But, you know, find out for yourself, man. Book's pretty good. Everfrost, I'll give a 3 out of 5. Up next, I read Damn Them All, Volume 2 by Simon Spurrier, Charlie Adlard, and Sophie Dodgson. I've had the first one of these put, I don't know when, last month, I assume, probably. The series is really good. Charlie Adlard's art, still very good. I think that this, my problem with this book is that it might be too British for me. Like, some of these accents and like the way people talk for me is like really hard to match with. Like the flow of it all does not match with the way that I read books. You know what I mean? Like the rhythm in my head doesn't match the rhythm of the words on the page, which isn't a bad thing. It's just, you know, probably my problem. I don't think that's Simon Spurrier's fault for being too British. That seems like a bad critique. But the ideas of this series are really cool. Again, this is the one where she is like the daughter of a John Constantine-like character, or the niece or something like that. And she is like carrying on his line of work of working with these demons and also criminals. And it's like a continuation of the last one. As far as I know, this is a whole series. I don't think they'll be coming back to it. I guess they could, but I don't know. This one, I feel like as it goes on, you like the main character less and less, like intentionally. She's kind of a piece of shit. Terrible. But there's some cool stuff happening in here. I probably like the first book better, but if you like the first one, you'll definitely like Volume 2. Damn Them All, I'm probably going to give probably a high 3 out of 5. I'd say almost a 4, but not quite. Up next, we have The Call by Kelly Thompson, drawn by Mattia de Ulis, maybe? Lettered by Hassan Otsmani El-Hal, the GOAT of lettering. Now listen, this book, I'm going to pause before I open it up. The art in this book is ridiculous. It must have taken this dude 100 years to draw. Like, every panel is insane. I'm a big Kelly Thompson guy in general. I don't know where she found this dude. I've never heard of him before. But he really makes this book. It's the art that makes this book. I mean, look at this, bro. Look at that. This is ridiculous. Like, this is like... Just wait till we get to some other things. Look at this, dude. Every panel is like this. There's nothing that is not up to this quality in the entire book. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. So the idea is that it's like a classic setup. Group of teenagers goes to film short film on Weird Island in the middle of the night, like just outside of town. And when they get there, there's some strange. I don't want to say too much. You know, I don't like to spoil any of this stuff. Strange things happen on the island that change them forever. That are kind of alien-y. Not the movie Alien-y, but that like aliens may be present. Some kind of weirdo sci-fi monster stuff happens in this book. I'm not going to say that much because actually the story of this book is kind of like too much of a straight line for me. I think that Kelly Thompson, I really, really like her writing, but this is the book of hers the most where characters are just like talking, like explaining what's happening all the time, which is like my least favorite thing in any book, any movie, anything. Just like the characters are like, oh, well, what will we do? This is a hard decision. If we do this, then this could happen. If we do that, then this could happen. Like, it just happens the whole time. I think that the dialogue lacks, like, I don't know, like nuance, maybe is the word I'm looking for. I don't know. But yeah, they go to the cave. There's a weird... They go to this new dimension when they go through the cave. It's the whole pitch. The art is nuts, dude. Even if you like actively hated the story, which I'm not saying I do, just to see the drawings that this guy creates is worth the price of the book. You know, it's a pretty thin trade paperback. I don't know how much it is. I didn't pay that much for it. Yeah, like this is just worth the price of admission, dude. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And because of that, I had a great time reading it. Even though I think that the dialogue was rough and that the story, at least so far, this isn't the whole story. There's still more coming. But the dialogue really wasn't doing this for me. But it is also like, it's supposed to be like a teen story, you know? So maybe I'm being too critical of it. It's like a bunch of teenagers going on a crazy adventure with monsters. The Cull, I think, has to be a 3 out of 5. But this is some of the most breathtaking art I've ever seen in a comic book. I would recommend that people go out and buy this. Up next, we got Berserker Bloodlines. It takes after the Berserker series. It doesn't take place after, but it's like a bunch of short stories about what happened to Keanu Reeves, the Berserker, before we meet him, right? Because the whole point is that he's supposed to be like immortal and has lasted through time. In this one, we get a short story about him and Genghis Khan. And then one set, a Western with him as like a freaky Western cowboy, which is also sick. This one is, the Western one is drawn by Ron Garney, written by the OG team of Keanu Reeves and Matt Kindt, colored by Bill Crabtree. The other one is written by Jason Aaron, drawn by Salvador Larroca, who, like, I know is a big name in comics, but I haven't read that many books of him, and I didn't realize, that he was so good, dude. I gotta read more Salvador Larroca books. This guy is sick. Lee Loveridge colors it. Maybe the GOAT. I hesitate to say. Jordi Belair is still out there, but still. This one, by the OG team, I liked less, for sure, than the Western one, and maybe that's just my taste. I mean, I'm always down for a Genghis Khan book, you know what I'm saying? This is good stuff, for sure. And it definitely is like, if you read the main Berserker books, like the continuation of that team being on this, it really fits. You know what I mean? Like there's not, sometimes in these anthology stories afterwards, the tone can kind of shift because there's different people like, putting their spin on it. And this one stays very true to what they set up in that first book. I did like it. I thought it was a good story. The art's really good. Ron Garney. This is probably my favorite Ron Garney art. There are some pages in the main Berserker book where I did not like his art as much. Not to say he's bad, just personal taste. But let me show you guys some of this. Let me show you some of this Salvador Larroca stuff. This one right here, dude. Face full of bullets. Look at this. Look at that beautiful blue sky. Look at this. What a setup, dude. We get this kid who's trying to shoot this hung man down using his drunk dad's... His dad is like drunk and passed out. He's using his gun and he's talking to him. It's a sick intro. This intro to the book is so good, dude. So good. My favorite part of the book for sure is this little like not even 5 pages. Something like that. This intro is great. Then we get into like another story later on where we assume Keanu Reeves' this guy walks after. I don't want to show too much because I feel like I want you to discover it for yourself. But the Western story in Berserker Bloodlines makes this worth it on its own, let alone it comes with this fun Genghis Khan one. Great action, super gory, nasty work, and a real setup for like why this character has like an allure to people. You know what I mean? Everything interesting about the Berserker is in this book. So I'm going to give it a low 4 out of 5. Up next, we got Bird King Volume 3, drawn by Crom, written by Daniel Friedman. They did Raiders together, which I think still is probably my favorite. Although the design of the Bird King is out of this world, dude. I'm a big Crom fan. Been following on Instagram forever. I just like his style. And this is like a great book for him to do. Now, the Bird King series, I honestly feel kind of up and down on. I like it for sure. But there's a little bit of like there's not enough Bird King in my Bird King. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you introduce this crazy cool character and then he's not really present that much. Obviously, he's not the main character. Our main character is Bianca, this girl. This is book 3, so I don't really want to say too much in case you haven't read the first 2. But it's like carrying on her journey. She has these 2 friends with her that she picked up along the way. And they make it to this crazy city of Atlas. And it's kind of like their escapades in the city. There's a little bit of like freaky, like Christian vibes in the best way. More religious than Christian. It's not necessarily Christian. But like a weird religious way that the city is run. There's an army that's potentially going to attack the castle very soon, and that is and everything that happens in between is what Bianca does, the choices she makes while in this city. I know that's really vague, but I don't want to say too much. Again, my complaint remains, not enough Bird King in my Bird King. The art, I think overall is really cool. I like the colors. I like it, but there's some spots where the art gets really like blotchy, you know, that I don't love. I do think this is better than book 2, right? So right now I think book 1 was the best one, then 3, then 2, in that order. This is still a very fun series. I think that it's just a good time. It's nice to see like a duo like Crom and Daniel Friedman just kind of get the room to cook on these, because I know they just release them as like graphic novels, right? I don't think there's like issues that come out for this. And I also don't think there's going to be too many more. I think there's only 1 or 2 books left in this series. It's a fun time. I'll give it like a 3 out of 5. It's fine. It's probably not going to change your life, but Crom's art is really cool, and his designs for these cities are gorgeous. Up next, I got Survival Street by James Asmus. Oh, Festante, what's your name? Whoa. And Jim Festante apparently wrote it. And then Able Kusanov. We're going for it. With the art. Ellie Wright with colors. Taylor Esposito on letters. Holy moly. This book is... So this book is the greatest pitch I've ever heard. One of them, at least. I heard James Asmus, talk on Ideas Don't Bleed. Great podcast. Great comic book podcast. And he gave us the pitch. Where it is the world... It's like a not post-apocalyptic, but like really grim world. Corporations have taken over. They are like legally, like all towns are like company towns. They own all the water, all the air. You know what I mean? And when they took over the world, they shut down all public like arts, including like PBS, where the creatures that are definitely real that live on Salutation Street, which is basically Sesame Street, they put all of them out of a job, so all the Sesame Street characters become like freedom fighters in the apocalypse, trying to stick it to these big corporations. There's a lot of satire in this book. It's definitely a comedy book, right? There's jokes around every corner. But I think that it also has like real heart, you know? And like all the best comedies do. There's something at the center there that's like real, you know? It's not all jokes, but it is very funny. This book is... I probably didn't get it the first two like issues in this book, and then by the end, I was all in. I thought it was very fun. Great characters in here. All of them are like these Muppet things that are like stuff full of like fuzz, like they have stuffing, and then they're just puppets that don't walk around. And there's a lot of great jokes. There's one of them that works that is like sold their soul to one of these companies, and they call her a puppet, and I think it's very funny. The art's really good. The color's really good. It's not like gonna blow you away, but I think it's really dynamic. I think it's really fun, and I think it's perfect for like the tone that they're going for this book. I don't want to say too much. I keep saying that. I gotta stop saying that. But it's really fun. It's fun. It's a funny book. I know there's a sequel that just came out from Image. I think this one's Dark Horse, but the sequel just came out from Image. It's fun. It's a good time. I'll give this one a low 4 out of 5. If any of that pitch sounds interesting to you, you should do it. You should just go in. It is a pretty political book. Like it's a satire for sure, and there's like a lot. There's a lot of opinions in this book, but I think it's all very funny. I think it's all in good fun. Yeah, Survival Street. Go read it. 4 out of 5. Up next, we have the best book I read this month, which is saying something because I read another couple ones that I really liked. The One Hand and the Six Fingers. This book, 5 out of 5, banger masterpiece. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm really, really gonna tread lightly here because I think going into this book blind is the best way to do this. It's the main pitch of it is that it's the One Hand and the Six Fingers were two separate series. One written by Ram V, drawn by Lawrence Campbell. The other one by Dan Waters and Sumit Kumar, which was the real discovery for me. Sumit Kumar is sick with it, dude. They're two separate series. One follows a detective who's trying to find the six-fingered killer, I believe. There's like this guy that he's been trying to put away for years and years. And then the Six Fingers follows the other side of it, right? Then the Six Fingers follows the guy that we believe to be the six-fingered killer. This book's incredible. Like, actually incredible. Full of big ideas. Takes place in, like, a near-future sci-fi kind of setup in a city called Neo Novena. The grizzled detective stuff in Ram V's book really, really worked for me. I like that, like, this is heavy blacks, dude. Heavy inks all over this. It's incredible. The One Hand Killer. Whoops. Not Six Finger. The other one's called the Six Finger. You guys get it. The One Hand Killer is who he's after. Crazy, crazy book. As you read it, like the stakes continue to ramp up, but in a way that feels really natural. But in a way where by the end you're like, what is this book even about, dude? You're like, where are we going with this? It just keeps going up and up and up. Takes you places you don't see coming at the beginning. I really, really love this book. I think everyone in the world should read The One Hand and the Six Fingers. Let me show you some of the Sumit Kumar art before we get through it. I think that his art style really, really works for me. He was the real discovery for me. And Dan Waters' writing is also very good. I don't want to take away from that. Ram V, you guys know I'm in the bag for Ram V at this point. I got season tickets for Ram V stuff. I'll probably read everything he writes from here on out. He's honestly of my list of banger masterpieces. He might have the most consistent. I think I got 3 of them up there. I really like Layla Starr. Really like Rare Flavors. Really love this book. It's incredible. It's incredible. The way that these two stories work in conjunction with each other, I think is a real feat that not too many comics writers could pull off to such a success. That's all I'm going to say. One Hand and Six Fingers. 5 out of 5. Banger masterpiece. Definitely a lot of blood and guts in this one, but I think everyone should read this book. Up next, we got The Last Delivery by Evan Dom, who I believe wrote, drew, colored. I think he does everything. Yes, author and artist. We love it. We love a writer-artist. This story, very simple story. It is about this guy who's a little delivery man. He gets to a big fancy house and he has to deliver a package, but to be able to leave, he needs the signature of the guy the package is for. But the man of this huge estate is having this crazy party, and so he gets drawn into this sicko, weirdo rich guy party, uh, just trying to look for a signature so he can get out. I really like Evan Dom's art style. It's, I mean, look at it, dude. It's great. I like the muted color scheme in this book. I like our little turtle guy. I don't know if I don't know what he's supposed to be. I think of him as a turtle. It's really rough because this guy has a bad time throughout the whole book. I think that like the style of the building, the style of the costumes, there's so much sauce in this book, and how well curated and designed everything is. You can just tell how much thought this guy has put into this story, and it really works. That being said, I don't know if I understand the story. Like, it's very confusing and very weird, and maybe that's the point of it. I think that it ends kind of suddenly for me. This is a tough book to read outside because there's some weird, like, sicko stuff in here, and people are definitely gonna think you're a freak if you're reading this in public. But it's good. It's good. I like this book. I don't know if this is an easy recommend, you know? But I think that by the description I'm giving you, you know if you're one of the people who, if you're into some like weird, tense, freaky, like dream circus kind of setup, then you'll be in on it. It's pretty grisly. It doesn't really pull any punches at any point. It's full of sick fucks, dude. This whole book is full of sick fucks. I won't say anything else. Last Delivery by Evan Dom. I'm probably giving like a 3 out of 5. I just think you can't look at this book, dude. You can't look at this and not see the achievement that's inside of it. You know, this guy wrote and drew this whole thing by himself. The whole idea is him. Everything written by him, and it has a lot of personality. I'm very interested. I will probably read more Evan Dom books, even though this book made me feel bad by the end. Yeah, Last Delivery, 3 out of 5. Up next, we have Cuckoo by Joe Sparrow. Joe Sparrow, another creator I have season tickets to. He hasn't done like a ton of comics, but I think that he's got like real like sauce. Like, I really believe in him as a comic maker. I know that he's done a lot of work in animation. That's kind of how he got to start. And so it really feels like we're looking at like frames of an animated show as you flip through this book. But he is such a talented visual storyteller, and I think he has really good like instincts when it comes to all this stuff. Like, everything you see flows beautifully, and there's so much visual elements that do so much for the story that he doesn't have to like. He just allows the visuals to speak, you know, in a way that like the Cull never does. You know. This story is a definite like coming of age story. It follows this main girl who, oh my god, I can't remember her name again. It follows this main girl. She has like this meteorite crash outside in her house. When she goes out to investigate, it turns into this crazy thing. She touches it, and she ends up getting weird powers from it that like really come to fruition when she is a teenager, and it comes off as like a fairly straightforward like coming of age, I have superpowers now, what am I gonna do kind of story. It's definitely grounded. She doesn't like go saving people in the world, you know what I mean? She's not a superhero, but like, look at these visuals, dude. Like, this guy is nuts, and the way the powers like show themselves, like the visuals this guy has that Joe Sparrow shows her abilities with is incredible. Incredible. It's so unique. I feel like I've read so many versions of like person with special powers, superhero with powers, and I've never seen it shown this way. I think it's very unique, which is the Joe Sparrow touch. He's got a very unique sensibilities with his stories, and I think the ending is an absolute home run. It's definitely like if you, I don't know how to say this. It's like really hitting those coming of age story notes going on. So know that going in. You should know that. So if you're good with like sticking around with this teenager while she struggles with normal teenager things while having this go on, it's good. I think it's got a beautiful message at the heart of it. Um, Joe Sparrow, man, really good. I don't know like how often he makes stuff. I feel like I'm really behind on him, but I'm in, dude. Joe Sparrow's very good. I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 5, like a high 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. I read it in one sitting. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do with this book because it's kind of a lot going on in it, but would recommend. Very fun. Good all ages book too. Up next, we got The Boy Wonder by Junie Ba. Colors by Chris O'Halloran. I got season tickets to Junie Ba. Writes and draws the whole thing. An absolute superstar in the comic book world right now. And this is his book about Robin. Right? So he follows Robin. I'm forgetting his name now, too. That's bad. That's bad. I've heard his name a lot. The most recent Robin, the one that's Damian Wayne. There we go. Batman's actual son. Follows Damian Wayne, and it's like his mission going through to fight some villain. We don't know all of it, right? Until like the very end. It's a mysterious villain that he's trying to beat on his own to prove to everyone that he's worth it, right? He's a good Robin. Each issue he buddy cops up with one of the other Robins, and they all work on parts of the mission together. And this book's really good. I think that Junie Ba with Chris O'Halloran is a stellar combo. This is probably my favorite Junie Ba art I've ever seen. I was really thinking about it. This might be my favorite Junie Ba book. And I don't know if he's just like leveling up as time goes on and then just like every book he makes is going to be better than the last one. But like his design work in here, the like paneling, the layouts with all of this stuff. There's a beautiful, beautiful full pager later on of I can't remember his name, but the Robin that's Red Hood. As it goes on too, he definitely gets to like really like Junie Ba this book up. Like they really let him cook, which I think this book really benefits from. This is a great read. A lot of action. Some jokes always have slipped in there. Junie Ba's one for the jokes, and lots of like fun villains, lots of fun fights. I read this one as well, all in one sitting. Like it's just a page turner. I think the ending is probably where it loses me like a little bit. I think it loses some steam, but I think it's hard to. I just think it's hard to end books in a way that's like super satisfying. This book's great. This book's great. I always say that Monkey Meat is my favorite Junie Ba book. This one might be my favorite now. It's so fun. It's so fun. We have a great time here with Junie Ba. Might be my favorite book. I think everyone should get this book. I know it's like a hardcover and it's like weirdly expensive. I got a decent deal on it, but let's see like $30. Like, are you kidding me, bro? $30 for this book. Crazy. But Junie Ba is very, very good. And I think if you like comics, you should read every book Junie Ba puts out. That's how it is. And this is no exception. Up next, I have The Library Mule of Cordoba. This one is by Mike, I want to say. Wilfred Lupano and Leonard Chimino. This story is about the Library Mule of Cordoba. This is very like a historically accurate book. So I'm going to butcher some names, but that should not be a reflection of this book. All the information is in there. I felt like I learned a lot while reading this, which, as I think I've told you guys before, I hate learning while I'm reading. I'm not trying to learn and be educated, but I think this does a really good job. I thought it was very interesting. Shimino. His art is incredible, and I think it's really the best part of this book. It is well written, but the art just takes it away. Everything is so gorgeous. I don't know what he is using for this, but these like... it's probably digital. Which makes me, like, crazy. But this stuff is beautiful, beautiful colors throughout the entire thing. Really illustrates just how beautiful, like, this area is, right? Because this takes place forever ago. Let's look at this map again. It has the stuff for us. The Dynasty of Cordoba. Let's see. This is probably Africa, so this is probably Spain in the Middle East? I don't know. I'm not going to guess anymore. I don't know maps. I don't know geography. Oh, God. But it takes place in this kingdom where the Al Hakam, his son, is now like the king or emperor or whatever his title is of this beautiful, beautiful city. Cordoba is a city known for its wonderful library that all of its leaders put all this work towards to assemble the greatest library in the world at the time. And a new leader comes in and is kind of manipulating the young king. And as a part of this manipulation, he burns. He wants to burn all of the books in the library. So we follow... Ooh, can't remember his name. One of the workers there in the library, and then this girl who is a slave who has learned how to write in the books. There's a special name for it. But she is still a slave, but she's like higher up on like the totem pole for that. And then we also run into this no good rapscallion thief fellow who has a donkey, and they bring all the books down and use his donkey to save like a really really small portion of the library, but what they believe to be the most important books there. And it's just their journey, kind of traveling to get away and like save these books from this place. They get chased down by the corrupt leader of this place, and it's just them like surviving and then kind of just following them on this trip, talking about why these books are important, and this guy talking about why it's so important to save while they run into people on the road. Right? I love a good like on the road journey, like adventure book like this. This one is, I don't want to say it's nonfiction, but it's like a very well researched historical fiction if it's not nonfiction. And it's a beautiful book. It's a beautiful book. It's a fun time. I think it could be an all ages book. Like I'd be comfortable giving this to like somebody who's like in middle school, maybe a little bit younger, but they probably don't care. There's some dense stuff in here. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think that this book deserves like a low 4 out of 5. It's not super exciting, at least for me. My favorite thing in comic books is when it gets really zany and like things get so crazy and unrealistic, right? There's like magic and people flying and like robots or whatever. And this isn't that. This is like a very grounded story, but it's just beautifully illustrated. I think it's very well researched, well written, and it made for a good time. Yeah, low 4 out of 5. Library Mule of Cordoba. Good time. And look at this, how pretty the hardcover is, man. It's a good book. I liked it. Up next, we got El Fuego, written and drawn by David Rabin. This is for sure the saddest book I read this month. It's pretty miserable. It follows our main character here is an architect. He's like a superstar hotshot architect, and he's been hired to build humanity's salvation on the moon. So he's like designing a city on the moon because there's a meteor on its way to crash into Earth and kill everybody. Okay? That's the setup. And it kind of follows him on the final days before the meteor hits. Okay? Not spoiling. You know me. I think that this book is truly maybe the saddest thing I've ever read. I hit the end of the book and I was like, oh, so this was just supposed to make me feel bad the whole time. Great, cool. David Rabin, I really like his work in Ether. I think he's a very creative artist. I don't think I've read anything he's written before. And he's got real sauce with it, man. Like, this is a fully realized world that he makes here. Like a near future, well, maybe not near future, a futuristic sci-fi, right? The city is kind of falling apart because it's the end of the world. And he's kind of dealing with this idea of like being that guy who's responsible for designing the new world. He's going to be that guy who saves everyone, right? Potentially. But there's like complications, obviously, because like people with money want their spots on the Moon City. The people down below, how do you decide who gets to survive on the moon? We can't take everybody. It's going to be a small city. How are we going to figure it out? And that weighs heavily on this book. This guy is kind of a piece of shit, He's made a lot of mistakes on his way, but as the meteor is crashing into Earth, he really wants to make things right, and it kind of follows us through that. I'm not going to show too much, but this guy, you just have to know that this guy sucks. This guy sucks. Bad dude. Do we feel bad for him? I don't know. Let's skip these pages here because I know it comes from it. Yeah. Definitely an interesting book. I think that, like, the quality of the world David Rabin builds is felt. Like, this guy spent a lot of time really, really thinking this whole thing through. And that comes through. I think he's got a very unique vision of this, like, bright and colorful future that also is grim, you know? Like, this is, like, a terrible time for everybody, but he uses all these bright colors to communicate it. All these, like, fantastic visions of, like, disasters and things that have gone wrong over time. Yeah. I don't want to say anything else. El Fuego by David Rabin. If you want to be really sad about the future, this is the book for you. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. Very well crafted, even though the story I don't feel like was totally for me. Up next, we got Wild's End by Dan Abnett and something Coulbard. I-N-J Coulbard. There we go. This book is like an old school, like in the style of like War of the Worlds style, alien invasion book. This is the pitch. It's like a small town. It's like cars are just being made. It's like the 20s or 30s. Aliens come to the world, and we follow these characters. Everyone's an animal, or I forget what you call it. They're like animal people. And we kind of followed these characters very slowly through the beginning days of the alien invasion. This book is not about trying to, like, save the world and beat all the aliens. That's not what this is interested in. It's like a character-driven, like, survival when times are tough book. And it took me a little while to realize that. I think Dan Abnett's dialogue is really, really good. I think that the story is a little slow moving. Especially, like, this is a thick trade, dude. Like, this is a thick book. And I feel like for a lot of it, not that much is happening. But then, as I got through it, I'm like, maybe that's the point, you know? So, like, even though that's not usually the kind of book that I go for, I think that the highs of this book are really high. I think that the dialogue and the characters are very, very good. There is a real case of like like in Avatar 2, if you've seen Avatar 2, when the kid is like, oh man, we're kidnapped again. There's a little bit of that to this book, where somehow they keep falling into the same problems over and over again, that I don't love, that I think holds this book back. But I do still think that this is like a very cool creation, a book that I'm very happy to have in my collection. And like just a pretty fun time, like a fun, interesting book. I wish there were more books in this like kind of genre, right? With this like old school alien invasion kind of thing. That is like more interested in like the smaller stories within it, you know? I love the design of all the characters, him especially, Slipaway. Clive Slipaway is my guy. I always think it's so interesting in these books where they make like these animal people, of how like the choice of animal that a person is has so much to do with like the character, right? It informs you while you're reading of like who could this person be. You learn so much just from the type of animal they are at the beginning, right? The aliens are these weird like street light looking things that shoot fire out. They're pretty spooky, and we never hear like they don't speak. They don't speak. We don't know why they're here. We don't know what they want. And that I also think really adds to the tone of this whole thing. Really, really focused on the people, unlike the survivors, right? On the people who are interacting with this firsthand at the beginning of this alien invasion. I think it's pretty fun. Kind of like an old soul in this book, and I really appreciate that. Wild's End, I think for me, gets a high 3 out of 5. I don't think it's enough to make it to a 4 because it is like really slow sometimes. Like really slow. But if you're down to just really sit down and like spend time with these characters and just hear them talk to each other, you'll have a good time, you know? Some of this stuff is expectations. Yeah, Wild's End, good book. So glad I have it in my collection. Up next, we have Witchfinder, Volume 2 by Mike Mignola, Chris Roberson, Ben Stenbeck, Disraeli, Christopher Mitten, and Michelle Madsen. This follows Sir Edward Grey, the Witch Hunter. I love a good monster hunter, let alone a Victorian monster hunter. Are you shitting me, dude? I'm there. This one I believe is written more by Chris Roberson, who I was not someone I'm super familiar with. But of course, Mike Mignola, I think it feels like he was less hands on with this, just in the way the dialogue is written and everyone is talking. The first one drawn by Ben Stenbeck, one of those guys who I think is in a class with like Tanchi Zanchik, where it's like I kind of wish these guys drew every single comic. In this one, I feel like he does a real like Mignola impression in his work, where he's like trying to mimic some of the things, which I'm sure is intentional. But ever since I read Our Bones Dust, the more I want people to just let Ben Stenbeck cook, you know? He's an incredible artist, really does work well in this tone that they're trying to hit. The first story follows our boy, Sir Edward Grey, as there's something weird happening underground, and there's like maybe zombies going on? Who's to say? Who knows? I won't tell you. But it's pretty fun. Pretty fun book. It's like a long 5-parter up here. Then I'm going to kind of flip through it as we go here, just so we get a look at all parts. The next one is illustrated by Disraeli, who I've never heard of before. Has a very unique style that I thought was very interesting. I don't know if it fits the tone of this book, but I am glad that they let him cook, you know, and he definitely cooks in this. He's got like a really interesting, like, his use of color, and there's parts where he just like won't use any lines and he'll just use colors, like here. Or I guess there is lines, but like he'll use different color lines in parts of it that I think are very interesting. And then the very last one is illustrated by Christopher Mitten, who is growing and growing on me. The more I see of Christopher Mitten's work, the more I like it, to be honest. He is also one of these Mignola disciples where I think he has done a lot of work in his Hellboy universe, right? But I think he's incredible. I think he's very dynamic. I like the way all of his stuff moves around on the page. He's like one of these guys that's like a page designer, you know what I mean? Like, even though each scene is there individually, like everything works so well together. I've liked his people in this one a lot more. Like, his expression work I thought was really good. It stuck out to me more this time than it has in the past, is all. And this story at the end is probably my favorite one. It's about like there's women there's prostitutes on the street who are kind of like going missing and getting in these grisly murders, and Sir Edward Grey kind of goes to figure it out, and then he's very wrong at first and then has to like adjust. Nobody wants to talk to him. Nobody believes him. They're like, give me your gun and badge, kid. You used to be a good detective. Don't let this ruin your reputation. It's kind of the vibe of it, which I'm always in for. Look at that, dude. That's a great cover. Wow. Yeah, this one was probably my favorite one. The Witchfinder stuff, I feel like those first 2 stories were in the first volume of the omnibus were my favorite. This one, I think overall, it's kind of samey, you know. He's cool. I wanted it to be like another Lobster Johnson, you know. I loved Lobster Johnson, and this one I definitely like less. So I think as a whole, this is still going to be a low 4 out of 5, just because some of the story stuff didn't work for me. But as always in the Hellboy universe, incredible art and great ideas, fun stories. Like not fun story, but like the fun is always there. You know, it's always exciting. It's like going to see an old movie every time you open one of these up, and I really appreciate that. Witchfinder, great book. Low 4 out of 5. Okay, last one. Big boy. Had to zoom out a little bit on this. We have the Gotham Central Omnibus. This is a big ass book, dude. Written by Ed Brubaker, Greg Rucka, drawn by Michael Lark, colored by Stefano Guadagnino. There's a lot of pencilers and inkers and artists that trade places in this book. Lots of beautiful art. Brian Hurt is in there for a little bit. Forgot about that. Kano does some work towards the end. This is following the police force inside of Gotham City, the Major Crimes Unit, which is hilariously the MCU, which I think is so funny that it's the MCU in this DC book. But it follows like the day shift and the night shift. Lots of characters. I think there's like 10 or so. Well, there's probably more than that. A lot of characters. All the detectives are equally important. Michael Lark's art is killer. It's literally perfect for this story that is being told. Incredible stuff. I think that this opening like mission, typically these missions that they go on, or not missions, but like the story arcs, are all like 2 or 3 issues, I'd say overall. I think this one is 2, and I think it's maybe the best intro to a series I've ever seen. I think that it like really holds it, like shows you what the story is going to be, right? Sets the tone, lets you know what's happening, beautiful artwork, an interesting enough story, and really shows you that like these cops are like so out of their element in every situation because the city's